So this is the number one reason why your ads suck. And I spend within the agency somewhere between $100 to $150,000 a month on paid advertising. And so I'm not a big dog by any means, but I do spend enough to know what works and what doesn't at relative scale. And so for a lot of you guys watching this who may be just launching ads, looking to get started with ads, or maybe you're just struggling to scale past that 10 to 20K a month mark, this video is going to answer all of your questions when it comes to why your ads aren't converting. Now, like I said, the number one reason why your ads suck is messaging. And this is exactly how we were able to turn a campaign, spend about 9 grand at a 9x ROAS, take home 80 grand, right? It all comes down to messaging. It is who I am speaking to. This is the same for all social platforms. So if you're coming from organic, the same principle applies. Now, the difference is with the paid ads, you need to be a little more pointed, but the same rules apply. The same way that organic works now is how the ad algorithms are working now as well. Targeting is not a big thing anymore. Your interest stacks, your lookalike audiences, your warm audiences, your retargeting audiences, they all work and they do provide value at scale when you're spending large amounts. But realistically, when you're launching a campaign, they mean jack shit. Why? Well, a lot of it comes down to the algorithm. And I could go into a whole spiel about how that works and the mechanisms of it and the structure and what Facebook does. Specifically, I'm talking about Facebook in this video as well. But at a very base level, the key thing here is messaging. It's understanding a couple of things. It's who, how, what. Who am I helping? So what is my avatar? How am I helping? What is my mechanism? And what do these people want? So what pains are we solving? What solution are we providing? Right? That is going to be the key drivers of messaging. And there's a lot of other things that go into this, but those are the big three here, right? And the number one problem that I see most people get wrong is they do not speak to their avatar. So a great way to do this with anyone is, let's say I run sales training for B2B, or I help investors get started in new asset classes. Let's call it real estate, for example. Both clients of mine in both different industries. Let's take the investor, right? We're going to go investor with that wants to get into real estate. I'm literally going to say, if you're looking for a real estate opportunity and you have 70K liquid, pay attention. And then I'm gonna go into my ad, right? Now that isn't the best copy in the world, but the point I'm trying to make here is you can literally say, this is what I want. Feed me this type of person. Let's take a sales training company. If you're a business owner with a struggling sales team doing over 100K a month, pay attention. Now again, this isn't like amazing copy by any means, but the point I'm trying to make for the what aspect specifically is you just need to call out the individual, right? At a very base level. As you scale and you enter into other market segments, then yes, you don't have to directly address, or you won't directly address, because some people may not even know they have that problem. But when you launch, there's a couple things I want you to pay attention to. Is when it comes to messaging, there's a couple of key areas you're hitting on. And as a marketer, you should understand this regardless. We have interest, direct interest, and then everything else. Now, I could go into the whole market awareness segment and all that fun stuff, but the key point I want to drive home here without overcomplicating this video is when you launch, you need to lean into interest. This is something I recently fucked up on with a client, right? And that's why this messaging concept is forefront of mind. We drifted so far away from the people that were actually interested immediately in the product or service that we started addressing problems without even saying what we did. And this is a huge problem, because until you're spending like 50 to 80K a month on paid ads, you can, generally speaking, drive a lot of revenue from interest-based specifically. And this goes into the how, right? A lot of the how and some of the what. A lot of the how and the what can be explicitly stated in your initial batch of ads. Now, like I said, as you scale, obviously you're going to branch out a bit. But in the beginning, how you can state. So if you know your sales process sucks and you're dealing with poor close rates, that essentially covers an ad. We have sales training. Now, this isn't a copywriting lesson. Don't confuse this with that. But the point I want to make here is that you need to be targeting the interest, the people that are directly interested in your ad when you're first launching, right? You do not need to go broad. You do not need to go address problems that people might not be aware of, right? You call out the avatar, you say what the problems are, and you address that you have a solution to a problem that they're already aware of. If you're a business owner struggling with a struggling sales team doing over 100K a month, pay attention. If you know your sales process sucks and you're dealing with poor close rates, we have sales training, right? And then click below. That's it. That's the key thing when you first launch. As you scale, it's a little bit different, but in the beginning, this is all you need to fucking do. It's very, very straightforward. Now, the second part is, how do I actually structure these ads? Well, ads are broken up, generally speaking, into three components. We have hooks, we have bodies, and we have CTAs. The hook would essentially be this here. If you're a business owner struggling with a sales team, we're going to hook them in. We're going to call them out. We're going to say, hey, I'm looking for you. Next, we create the body, which is basically the bulk of the ad. So if you know your sales process sucks and you're dealing with poor close rates, we have sales training. And then the CTA is going to be the end of the ad, just telling people what to do. Register for the webinar, click below, watch the free training, fill out the form on the next page, right? Whatever it is, this is the structure of an ad. I want you to write all of your ads like this. Hook, body, CTA. The hook is to pull them in. The body is to address concerns or problems. And the CTA is to drive them to take action. That is the core component. Now, the last thing I want to explain when it comes to messaging is the importance of angles, and this is especially true with the way that the algorithm's shifting. So, very recently, I watched a video from Jeremy Haynes, and it explained why ad accounts that I was running were fucking atrocious in July. And it was about the Andromeda algorithm, right? And so what happened is Facebook rolled out a new, and this is Facebook specific, but Facebook rolled out a new algorithm that essentially, to dumb it down, if you click on an ad, you are now going to get fed a ton of competitor ads as well, right? Direct competitors. So that's one aspect to it. The other aspect to it is, in order to see good performance within your campaigns, you need to be spitting out a ton of different angles. So it used to be, and these are full-length ads as well, it used to be that you could slap a hook, a body, and a CTA together, write a bunch of them, and then just interchange them and launch like 10 to 15 ads, right? And it would perform well, especially in the beginning. Now you have to write full-length ads for every single angle that may apply. So this is your big key problems. This is also your little problems, right? So let's take, for example, an Amazon offer. That's another offer I work on. We'll use a general hook. If you're looking to get started in online business and you want to sell everyday products on Amazon, boom, there's angle one, right? Second angle might be, if you're looking to automate your Amazon business with AI, so that all you have to do is spend money on the products and manage fulfillment, click below, right? So you have that as well. Now, what a lot of people may not address, and this is where Andromeda gets interesting, is I want to address the small angles, right? So for example, with the Amazon business, we have VAs to help automate the operations of your Amazon reselling business. And then you go into the ad, right? And that's the angle. And so with Andromeda, you need to be producing a fuck ton of unique angles it does not matter if they address mass or niche markets. And that's just a little nuance. Again, I wouldn't spend too much time on this if you're just getting started with paid ads and you're looking to spend 15 to 30K in month one to test. Again, realistically, if you're in the high ticket info space, I wouldn't spend anything less. But this is the direction I'd go. I'd figure out who am I speaking to, I'd figure out my mechanism, I'd figure out what their pains and solutions are to those specific pains, and I'd address them, again, uniquely to each one, almost like a sales rep. I would call out the individual. Like, I'm not going to get all fancy with my ads. I'm going to be very, very direct. And then the rest of the ad is going to be fairly simple. We're going to follow this hook body CTA format. We're going to pump out a fuck ton of angles to appease the Andromeda update. And the last thing we're going to do is just test. Right? A lot of marketers fuck this part up. And they'll spend, and they'll panic within like 6 hours, and they'll say, fuck man, this isn't working, ads aren't for me. You need to treat this like a science experiment. Like I said, this is exactly how we achieved it at 9x ROAS on $8,000 in spend to get 80 grand back. And these are in-person mastermind tickets. Right? So there's no sales rep on this, just so you guys are aware. But still, we treat it like a science experiment. I am running in test cycles. Typically, depending on the product, I will run in test cycles of 1,500. Depending, right? You always want to do the math. So for example, the reason I do 1,500 is, let's say I launch a call funnel and my cost per call is $150. That means I realistically get 4 calls a day. And even that is not enough. I may jack it up to 3K. Right? You need to do the math. You need to do the math. And this is another thing that's been harped on a ton from Jeremy. I'm just going to reference the guy himself. Is the math. Right? You need to do the math. The difference, let's say, again, I just launched a lead form campaign. We're getting $5 leads. We spent like $300, $308, I think, and brought in 79 leads in a day. I don't really need to spend crazy amounts because of the lead volume coming in, right? It's all based on the math, right? And so again, if I have 150 cost per call, well then what's my ticket price, right? How many calls is it going to take to close like a 50K product? And so that brings me to my last point, which is just financially model it. And this will allow you to test effectively, but that I'm going to save for another video. The key thing here is go for the people with high interest. Outline this before you script. Keep your ads really fucking simple in the beginning. Make a fuck ton of angles. And then test. Like, you can hop on a call with me or a member of my team and say like, hey man, ads aren't fucking working. And I'll look at you and I'll say, okay, what's going on? What do you mean they're not working? Have you tested? What have you tested? Right? And so that is the basics of the number one reason why people fuck up ads is they suck at messaging. And so if you can nail this down, especially in the launch phase, I guarantee you'll see a lot more success from day one than you will if you tried to get all fancy and cute with it and did these high production like I edit all the ads for client accounts when I first get started because it takes me a fucking hour. I'm literally automating the clipping process, automating the caption process, running the ad. There is no fancy cuts, there is no fancy edits, there's none of that shit because it's not needed. Messaging is number one. All a fancy edit is going to do is drive down your costs and increase your retention. It will not attract the people with the highest interest. If you speak to someone, you will win. The last point I will leave you with here is I want you to think about yourself like a therapist. The only reason people go to therapists is because they feel heard. The therapist understands what you are talking about. Like they understand you and you feel understood. All right, it's why the best relationships have a lot of communication, because you feel understood by your partner. That is how you want to film an ad. If you can film an ad or write an ad that makes your prospects feel understood, they will book a call. The ad does not have to be pretty, right? And so that's going to be the biggest thing, is just focus on messaging. If you guys are looking for more like messaging based content, it's going to be a link below. Feel free to register for my newsletter. I just spit random shit in there. Also, there's going to be a link to book a call. You can book a call with myself, a member of my team. We can chat a little bit about where you're at in your situation, whether it makes sense to bring us on as an agency to consult you, or even if at the end of the call we're just saying, we go, hey man, like you should just go in this direction. Doesn't matter to me. I just want to help because I've spent way too much money on ads. I've made way too many fucking mistakes, and I want to make sure people avoid that in their media buying, their ad buying process. So again, this is the number one reason your ads suck. You have dog shit messaging. If you fix that, you can achieve results like this. So thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you in the next one.